What is up, everyone? Welcome to another edition of Live Locks here on Scores and Odds. If you haven't already checked it out, I've got it up on this page here. You see it? We got all sorts of props. We have the RG projections put over there. As you can see, DeMar DeRozan really grades out well today, but it's really just a simple look at things. And you should go sign up now. If you haven't already done, just go to scoresandodds.com and sign up. It's that simple. And you get all sorts of products, all sorts of picks from me, Daniel Chevelson, Meansy, Noto, everyone over at RG that throws picks out there. So yeah, just go sign up. And if you haven't already done so, go to scoresandodds.com/Discord. I'm throwing it in the chat right now, /Discord. I can't multitask. And just sign up there and you can get access to Grant's Action Lounge, where every single bet I make on this show is put into this little Discord channel, Grant's Action Lounge. And you can bet it. It's simple. For right now, it is still free. I'm not sure why. It's probably moving over to premium soon, but go check it out. Get on in there. We're going to be breaking down every single game and all the bets we like on today's slate. I am joined by Mr. Daniel Chevelson. You might know him as Dean 78904, as the guy that cleared 27K last month. How you doing there, Daniel?
Am I going to be that guy in like 2 weeks? You remember that game 3 weeks ago? He had a nice little slate. I'm doing all right. Anything eventful happened this weekend?
Not really. I swam in a pool. I went to a farmer's market. I babysat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Did you get to watch one of your favorite movies with a child?
Let's see. We watched Ice Age. We watched a little bit of Sleeping Beauty. Watched Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. We watched all the Disney movies.
Those are your classics, though. Those are your favorite. Those are your go-tos?
No, those aren't my go-tos. My go-tos are a little bit different. I'm a big Moana fan. I'm a big Frozen fan. I'm a big Aladdin's my go-to. Aladdin's the best one.
Would it shock you to learn that I've never watched like any Disney movie?
We've talked about this before.
Okay. Yeah. Well, okay. Yeah. Then I guess it wouldn't surprise you.
No, I'm not surprised at all. But we got 10 games, 9 games,
believe it's 9.
8 games? It's 9. It's 9.
Yeah.
It is, in fact, 9 games. So, yeah, we got a lot. And we just got a bet from Meansy popping up here. Let's see. What is it? You can hear it here first. Marcus Smart, the over on points. Is it really at that?
What's the number?
14.5.
That seems pretty low. It's funny. I slid into your DMs before the show talking about how fishy that line looked, and there was talk of Tatum sitting out, and we already knew that Horford was going to be out.
Robert Williams.
The Time Lord's going to be out for a while. That's what sucks because Boston's playing awesome basketball, and hopefully, they get their best shot at it, and he's good to go by the time it matters. But I was like, this line still is too goofy because Toronto's not like great. And then we're like, well, Tatum's probably going to sit. He is. Also, Jaylen Brown is sitting. So Boston's going to be without 4 of their 5 regular starters. And yeah, Marcus Smart's not the type of guy that is, an alpha where he's okay. Now I'm just going to shoot the ball 25, 30 times. He's not, he doesn't have that, Terrence Ross in him. I don't know why I'm using Ross, but you know what I mean? But yeah, that's still probably too low is the point.
Yeah, no, definitely. I just ended up betting it over at DraftKings. You can find the best line at -110. Shout out Meansy for getting me on that and me being smart enough to get in there before. But yeah, we got a big old slate. You ready to dive right on in?
Yeah, let's do it. You have a ton of bets. I have more just information, as you'll see as we go along. It's just I have a lot of thoughts on things. And of course there's, with 2 weeks left in the season, there's so much stuff in flux that you got to, stay on top of things. But let's do it.
Yeah. All right. Let's go in the first game here. We got Denver going up against Charlotte. I've got a few bets in this one that you are probably not going to know too much about. Aaron Gordon under 1.5 turnovers, sitting at +120. Just a bad line. Jeff Green over 0.5 blocks plus steals at +105. Over at Caesars. Just a bad line. I mean, he's hitting it I haven't projected to hit this at over a 50% rate, so getting it plus odds is pretty big there. Jeff Green over 12.5 points, rebounds, and assists. That just seems a little bit too low. I mean, I know he's not obviously a high usage guy. He's probably not going to play much over 25 minutes in any given game there. But, I mean, he's been shooting the ball 6, 9, 10 shots over the last 3 games. He'll get a few boards. He'll get a few assists. He might end up getting over 12.5 just points. So getting points, rebounds, assists, pretty solid there. You have any bets for this game? That's all I've really got.
You were right in your premonition that I don't have a lot of hot takes as far as those goofy ones, which, you can make just as much money on that. By all means, have at it. Just hammer bad lines. I think that's awesome. That's sharp.
Oh, I also bet Barton over 21.5 points, rebounds, assists. I think someone just told me about that. I'm like, it looked good. I mean, it's a matchup versus Charlotte.
Yeah, Charlotte playing on the back-to-back. And, at this point, of course, motivation matters a ton. And that's kind of a lot of the stuff I've been digging into as well. And Denver still fully motivated that they're in the 6th spot. They don't want to fall back to the 7th spot. Minnesota right in their tail, 1 game behind. So they're going to play their regulars. And Charlotte is still jockeying for position with Brooklyn. I guess it would be like home court stuff, I imagine. They're currently in the 8 right now, the 7-10 nonsense. Back-to-back. But we've seen Ball play more minutes of late, which is encouraging. They finally started to push him a bit more of late. And I would just say there's some potential added value to your green bet you were talking about because – Jeff Green bet because JaMychal is currently questionable, and that could only help him. That wouldn't hurt him, right? It's not a huge needle mover, but it might get an extra minute or two in the projections. I'm not sure if you're still with me or not. I just heard a door close and I'm not watching the video. Am I talking to myself?
Nah, you were talking to yourself for a second there. I had to let the dog out. He was wandering around like a silly little puppy.
Well, that's what dogs do.
Yeah, they are silly little dogs. Yeah, I'm assuming you didn't say anything that I need to walk back on for the people.
I don't think so. Yeah, I think Ball's kind of interesting. I can see him having a nice little game tonight. Again, they're pushing him and they have incentive. It's not this amazing matchup, obviously, but yeah, I don't have a ton else to add in this game. I like your goofy bets because I know they're well researched. I don't mean that as an insult, the goofy bets. Like, I'm talking about like the stuff like nobody else.
The goofy bets are the best bets. Like. Yeah. If you're betting spreads and totals, you're hoping for a 3 to 4% margin. That's what you're hoping for. If you're betting props and you're betting those silly props, you're hoping for a 10% margin.
The spreads and the totals are much sharper as far as the lines than the ones that you're hitting. So this is kind of the point I'm making. And you know this, obviously.
Yeah.
Like you never bet spreads. I don't want to say never, but rarely did you say, oh, I like the Cavs today -9. Like you never say that.
Yeah. No, very, very, very rare.
Yeah.
I mean, until I get fully limited on every site in every state, then that's where I have to start betting spreads and totals. But right now, props are just far too profitable. Let's move on to the Orlando-Cleveland game. I don't think there was anything I like here. I mean, both teams fairly healthy. I mean, Allen's obviously still out for Cleveland. Suggs is out, I believe, or is he questionable? He's questionable or doubtful or something like that.
Suggs is out. Wendell Carter Jr. is off the injury deal. Like they're playing games, Orlando. Oh, this is worth mentioning, by the way. So I don't do with this what you will, but the tankathon we always talk about, or I always talk about.
Yep,
it's awesome. There's 2 weeks left. Detroit, Orlando, and Houston are all locked in. They're all tied at 20 and 55, 26.7 win percentage. They all want to lose. Houston tried against Portland, but Portland was not cooperating last week, and Houston took 2 games on them. Houston was up by 2 games. They fell back because they couldn't just shoot on their own basket. That's like way too shady. And Portland, as bad as you think Houston is, Portland is dramatically worse than Houston at this stage. But it's just wild. And Orlando doesn't want to win and Cleveland does. So Cleveland should win this game fairly easily. I don't like laying that number, but like if I was going to bet this game, I would bet the Cleveland side. But saying all that, do you know Orlando has been one of the best defensive teams in all of basketball since the All-Star break? It's wild. I believe they're right there, like decimal points next to Memphis. Last 15 games, they are tied essentially with Memphis. And Toronto's right there too, for what it's worth. I don't get it, but good for them. If you shrink it down to the last 10, if you want to do it that way, Orlando's still top 5. They've been in the tank mode, third best in the last 5 games. You're getting small samples there, but just noting that Orlando's been playing good defensively, so good for them.
Yeah. No, I mean, they have been pretty solid defensively. I mean, Wendell Carter Jr. has been playing pretty great. Also, shout out to Smartwater. He just got me on the Tyrese Halliburton over 15.5 points. BRTN over 15.5 points. But the only bet I really like in this spot here is is Wendell Carter Jr., which I know you're probably a fan of. I think you can speak to that. We know how good he's been recently. Not a great matchup, but the props all the way down to 15.5 points because of that, which is a little bit too low in my opinion. So I'm rolling with that. I mean, he's going to play minutes, even though they are trying to tank. I mean, Orlando's playing good defense. We look at Wendell Carter Jr.'s stats, 19, 15, 18, 23, 20, 13, 20. So he's hit the over on this pretty handily in, 6 of his last 7 games. Just seems like a bad number, and I don't fully understand it.
I think what's baked in is the caution of what the goofiness Orlando's doing. Wendell Carter Jr., I believe, has missed at least the last 2 games. He hasn't played since 3/22. He had 2 body parts, I think a wrist and something else. He is off the injury report, but I just don't know how much they push him. There's no incentive to push him. So I'm a little cautious on it. Like, theoretically, I get what you're saying. Math-wise, I get what you're saying, but there's a little bit of a red flag because I don't know how much Orlando is going to try. Again, if he's on the court, he's trying. I just don't know if they're going to let him try for 33 minutes. So.
Yeah. Someone bringing up, don't look into this too much. The 3 worst teams have the same odds to get the first pick in the draft with the new rules. Yes, they do. And the 3 worst teams are all a game and a half above the 4th worst team. So the tankathon does mean something. I think that might have been what you were alluding to.
Well, no, the other part of it, yes, that is a good point. And this would be much, much more interesting and probably much crazier if they didn't change those rules. They all have the same amount of ping pong balls. However, if, say, 3 teams win the lottery like New York, Washington, and San Antonio, then it matters like okay, you're the worst record and you did not get the ping pong ball, but you get 4th. And you're the 2nd worst, you get 5th. And you're the 3rd worst, you get 6th. So that matters for that. Because if your chances of you winning the lottery are not like you're not going to win it, most likely, but you have a better chance than others, 14%, to finish 1. Of course, you got a shot at 2 and 3, but you have to have a contingency plan, a plan B. If you don't hit that, then you want to fall into line at 4 as opposed to 6, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, it doesn't, but yeah.
Yeah. It hampers it a little bit. But like there is still some incentive but being in the top 3 is important. That is a good point.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and those 3 are just barely ahead. Nothing else really in this game. Let's move on to the next one. Atlanta versus Indy. Not a ton of love here. I, again, shout out Smartwater. Can get a -116 over on FanDuel. I think Brogdon, has he officially been ruled out yet?
Oh, it's a tank fest. Yeah, he's not playing. There's no.
Well,
shot.
I feel like every single day it's like he's not on the injury report, and then oh, he's out. Like,
he's out.
It's so confusing every single day. But so Haliburton should get a decent amount of usage here as he does. It's a matchup versus Atlanta. He's going to get Trae Young defense. Haliburton, solid overall player. 15.5 points is probably a little bit too low. I know because I bet the over on his points recently. Has not been going well, but I think this is a spot where he ends up getting it right. He hasn't been shooting the ball great recently, but the shot volume has been okay. I think that 15.5 is just a little bit too low here. I'm hitting the over on that. Outside of that, I don't think there's anything else I want to bet in this game. As you know, I've got some bets for the Memphis game near the end.
Yeah, we probably don't have much lines for Atlanta because Gallinari and Bogdanovich are questionable, so you can't even. Of course, we know Collins is out, but Indiana just kind of worth noting. They're sort of in their own tier. Like they're not going to catch OKC. They have 4 more wins than them, so they're not going to close it on them. And they're a couple wins less than Sacramento. So again, it's Indiana tank fest. They don't want to fall back to the 6. It's probably not going to happen. They are thin though. You're right. And the other night, this might maybe because they're down like 35 or 40. There's no chance they can not to come back. But they brought Haliburton back in the 4th quarter when they're down like 35 or whatever the number was. It was insane. I was watching the game because I had some other pieces in that game for DFS. But they're just thin. They're down to 10 players right now. I think Haliburton's interesting, to have like a really explosive game if they let him go, obviously. The absence of Brogdon, he should absolutely thrive. Everything should kind of run through him and Buddy Hield. But again, there's other pieces too for what it's worth that are questionable. Gogo Batadze still questionable. Washington is questionable. So theoretically, they could be down to 8 bodies. Probably not, but theoretically. But maybe one of those guys are out. But yeah, I like your Haliburton pick because it's low enough where I think it's worth whatever inherent risk it is that they're kind of tanking.
Yeah, but that's pretty much it. Let's Get on to an even less interesting game. Sacramento versus Miami. 12.5 point spread. I got nothing. I have nothing.
So I just want to say, Miami, right? Like, I'm not somebody that like freaks out over regular season schedule. Oh, you're in a slump right now, but it is just worth noting that my Miami Heat have been horrendous. They've lost 4 games in a row. The Nets.
Oh, do you own them?
What's that?
Are you a stakeholder in Miami?
No, it's not like the Green Bay Packers. It doesn't work that way. But I am. It's my it's my team.
The Green Bay Packers is just the most genius ownership structure in the world. Like, yeah, anyone could buy them, so you can actually say, "Oh, I'm a stakeholder in them."
Well, I mean, it's a loose way of saying you bought the pack. Yeah, and I think it's like a common like gift in the Wisconsin area for like Christmas and birthdays and things like that. Shares of the Packers. It's cool. I don't know how well thought out it was, like in the 30s or something. Who knows what
No,
it was?
well, they're still issuing it. Like,
it's still a thing, yeah. But I'm saying, it dates back to like the 30s, right, or the 40s?
Yeah, and I mean, technically, you don't get anything from it, any voting share or anything like that.
Oh no, you're not like saying they don't have you on speakerphone and saying, hey, you think we should sign Aaron Rodgers? They're not calling you in. I just want to mention though, like Miami, how horrendous they got walloped by not walloped. They lost by 7 to Philadelphia without Embiid and Harden. The Warriors without Curry and other guys beat them by 14. The Knicks without guys beat them by like 10. They're just scuffling. And it's just interesting that they're 12-point favorites again. I'm not saying they shouldn't be, because the Kings are, horrendous. They've been horrendous all season long. Worst organization in basketball, probably. Yeah, it is. Davion Mitchell has improved their defense well, for what it's worth. He's drawn the start now. He's kind of doing everything offensively.
But he doesn't get steals. Remember that?
Was that an argument we had?
I kept betting and I helped me win a quarter.
Oh, you're betting him under. I was just saying he's a good defender. Like, I don't know if that means
Yeah.
he's like a steal guy or not.
Fun fact, though, he's had a steal in each of the last 6 games.
Yeah, you were on the side I think you bet under in his steals, right?
Yeah, I did, and I did it fairly often early on in the season when he was in more of a bench role. I was getting at plus 140, and it made me a lot of money.
Yeah, it's one of those weird arguments where, like, people would say how good or bad a defender may or not be based upon how many steals they have. And like Ricky Rubio's kind of like the go-to. Like, he always was a good steal guy, but people would always say, well, he's not actually good though, because
Russell Westbrook.
If you take chances, like that kind of thing. But I don't. If you want to dig into those metrics and all that kind of stuff, I don't know off the dome, but it's just always exploratory.
Ricky Rubio, Russell Westbrook, James Harden are kind of the 3.
Does Harden have a lot of steals too? He might. Like, it wouldn't surprise me. He also plays a lot of minutes too.
Yeah, I mean, but I think he had. I can't see the stats right now, or don't want to look him up. But yeah, he had like lots of games with like 5 steals, and it's just what he does sometimes.
49th round of my MLB best ball draft. I just picked Rougned Odor. Get excited. I
can't remember who he's playing for.
He's on. I wouldn't expect you to.
Baltimore?
He's on Baltimore.
Yeah, I did know. Okay.
Very desperate pick at the 49th round, just for the record.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the next game. Chicago, New York. I got quite a few bets here.
What do you have?
I have Vooch over 28.5 points, rebounds, assists. A little bit too low. DeRozan over 23.5 points. Neither of these guys have been hitting it lately, but I like this matchup here. Knicks, not great. 3.5 point spread. It's just a good overall spot here.
I don't like this game, man. I don't have a lot of thoughts. I'm yielding to you on this one. I don't have a lot of good takes here. As far as this game, I don't know. It's one of my. I still have agreed on it, and I'm happy to yield. So I have nothing to add.
Okay, all right. Well, went through that one way quicker, but
yeah.
I got more bets on the next games. We got Boston, Toronto. Not a ton of bets on this. Not many lines coming out. We already mentioned the Marcus Smart over 14.5 points. I mean, like you said, he's not a guy that's going to eat up a ton of usage, but the minutes should be there. And there's a massive usage hole without Brown, and without Tatum, and without Horford, and without Williams isn't really a huge usage guy. I mean, we've seen not too long ago, Smart put up 20, 15, 20. And like prior to the last few games where hasn't been playing a huge amount of minutes because they've been in blowouts and Brown and Tatum have been there. Hasn't been doing a ton, but he'll probably put up 12 to 15 shot attempts, maybe 20. More than enough for me to go on that. Plus, I trust that Meansy fella. He knows a thing or two about basketball. But that's really all I've gotten there because there's not a ton of lines out.
I just ran a court IQ, and I thought it'd be interesting. Again, there's only so much you can do, and there's only so much you can kick off. Like, I can't really kick off like Dennis Schroeder because that's going to even make my sample size.
All you really need to do is, pretty much just kick off Brown and Tatum to get a decent enough sample size.
So I did that, and I kicked off Horford too. I'll kick him off in a second. I want to put a Horford back on, or just in standard, but just interesting. 46.9 minutes, right? Is that a big enough sample? Not really, but it's a sample. We see Smart getting a 32% usage and jumping up almost 15%. So that is insane. Let me just try this. Let me just move the Horford thing back to just sort of neutral.
Have you gone back to last year?
No.
So
I did not.
Yeah, I think that's something that we could do. So take out Brown. By the way, great product, Court IQ. Like literally one of the most helpful things in fantasy basketball. So where's Horford at? We run query.
I kept Horford on for the record, just Brown and Tatum, and it's 98 minutes, 25.2%, which is still a pretty big number for him because he's typically not a big usage guy. That's a jump of 7.7%. It's a really small sample, but Derek White is shining in 22 minutes at 33% usage. But go ahead. What do you have?
Yeah, I'm looking at this season and last season. So probably a bit more of a usage or of a sample size here. So 186 minutes, 27% usage, 20 points almost per 36. That makes a little bit more sense. Obviously, Kemba being on the floor for a decent amount of those. Schroeder, like with those guys on the floor, it's only going to decrease his usage. So the fact that Walker and Schroeder aren't there anymore, only going to increase things.
I see Derek White at 15.5 points in the FanDuel Sportsbook. He's going to play. I'm checking. I want to see if we have our projections. He's got to play like 32 minutes, right? 33 minutes, 34 minutes.
I mean, you would assume so.
Let's see what we're projecting. I think we changed. Yes, we got 35 minutes projected for White, 28 for Peyton Pritchard, Grant Williams for 35. I think they only have like 8 bodies. Is that right? Like Luke Cornett's going to get dusted off tonight.
Okay.
No, that's not true. They have other bodies. They have Jawan Morgan and like Matt Ryan. They got a person named Matt Ryan in that team. Did not know that. There is other guys. Okay, so Broderick. But the thing with Boston is they like to keep their rotations tight. That's just like a general philosophy.
Yeah, like a tiger.
And they're also battling. I mean, I'm sure you saw this, right? We talked at the Tankathon. You look at the top of the Eastern Conference, 1 through 4 is a half a game separated. 1 through 4. And they're all jockeying and they're all like, how do we avoid Brooklyn? So it's just like, it's just weird because you don't know where Brooklyn's going to land, either 8 or 7, right? Probably 7.
I mean, they can be, they can't be 7th.
Why can't they be 7th?
So, it depends on where they end up the regular season. If they end up in the 8th seed, the regular season, they can be 7th. If they end up in the 9th seed, they can only be 8th. So how it works is the 7 and the 8th seed play each other. The winner of that gets the 7th seed. The 8th plays the winner of the 9th and 10th seed. So, I mean, it's...
Well, Brooklyn and Charlotte are tied in the 8th spot.
Yeah.
39 and 36. I think...
Tied with what? 7? Not 7. 7 more games to go?
82 games. They each have 7 more games. Yeah. I've not looked at strength of schedule, but like the point is like it's this weird sort of thing where like obviously, ideally, you do not want to play Brooklyn in the first round. The way now they're fully loaded. New York's got rid of the vaccination deal, so Kyrie can play all even though he's horrendous yesterday. Let's not talk about that.
All right, 1 second. Milo just said DK pulled the smart line. FanDuel actually has it -104, so go hit it over there.
So I'm not aware of all the ins and the outs, but I think right now Brooklyn's got a shot. The point is, it's sort of interesting that Boston, Miami, Milwaukee, Philadelphia are all within a half a game of each other, and they're going to finish 1 through 4 in some capacity. I don't see Chicago jumping up to 4; they're 3 games back. But at the same time, they're also thinking in the back of their brains like, well, it'd be great if we avoided Brooklyn, but of course you also want to be higher seeded, so you have home court depending on how things fall. It's just really fascinating. And I don't know if the teams are thinking that far ahead or just kind of like, let's just.
I mean, they should be. They want to get the 3 seed. That's what you want is the 3 seed.
But then you're playing on the road game 7 and then round 2 if you're facing the 2.
I mean, yes, but you don't play Brooklyn.
Yeah, it's a give and take. It's really interesting. Like, what do you want? Like, it's a risk reward conversation that I wonder. And like some teams that are more analytical probably are digging into that. If Boston was playing a playoff game tonight, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are playing. They're battling for the 1 spot and they're just still resting guys tonight, which is just interesting. And I know Tatum's dealing with a knee and whatever, but like when he plays, he crushes. He's great. He's still the whole team is best team in basketball right now. Them in Phoenix. But it's just an interesting sort of conversation.
Yeah, it definitely is. We're moving on to the next game. We got San Antonio versus Houston. I got a couple bets in here. One you're not going to like. DeJounte Murray under 9.5 assists. I got it plus 115, though, over on Caesars.
What are his points at? Why do you like under on the assists?
Because it's at plus 115.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that moves the needle enough for you. What do we have projected for? Probably about 9 or 10 assists.
Huh?
I'm pulling up our projections. I'm guessing it's somewhere between 9 and 10 assists.
Yeah. Oh, the dog's trying to break in. Yeah, I don't know. Let's see. Going over to assists.
It's actually 9.09 is our projection for what it's worth.
Yeah, so getting the under at plus odds is great. According to our projections, and great according to me, genius and the voice of our generation.
Houston's not been as horrific defensively of late. Just, I guess that's worth noting. That's a kind way of saying.
What's their pace been recently, though?
So last 15 games, Houston's pace is 10th in the league, and as far as their defensive rating, they've been 17th worst. Like again, they were bottom 5, so that's an improvement.
Yeah. I mean, it's still San Antonio's actually been in some pretty massive games. So like the total in this is sitting at what 135, 134 and a half. It looks like
234. Yeah.
Yeah. 234. Yeah. So I bet I'm betting some overs outside the DeJounte Murray. I have Keldon Johnson over 27.5 points, rebounds, assists. He's been chucking recently, getting up over 20 points at a pretty consistent clip. So I like that one. Jayshawn Tate, huge pace up matchup. Points prop sitting at 9.5. I bet the over on that one.
His minutes have just been really, really fickle of late. Is the tricky thing? With Tate.
Oh yeah.
And they're fully healthy. We haven't seen him creep above 24 minutes in a while. I know everything's adjusted based upon right. And San Antonio's a fine matchup. But just, worth noting. And Houston's also like fully healthy. We're expecting Gordon to come back from his groin / trying to tank the best we can, but it's not working because Portland's so decrepit. But Houston should be fully healthy and good to go in theory. But I'm just walking back for a second. I want to see what our projections are on Boston. I wanted to see that White projection. We are projecting 16.5 points for White. And was he at 14.5 is the number in the FanDuel Sportsbook?
I think it was 15.5. That's smart. It was at 14.5. White is sitting at 16.5 over everywhere. So I don't
15.5 on FanDuel at minus 122.
Yeah, I mean that's probably the best line. It's a decent amount of juice. And I don't know if it's a great line, but yeah, I'd take 15.5 at minus 122 over 16.5 at minus 105. But it's close. But I'm probably staying away. I mean, I like that smart line. I think he's a little bit more safe to get his over, but if you want to go with White, go ahead.
Can you bet Pritchard? Is there any Pritchard lines anywhere? He'd be interesting.
Let's see. Pritchard.
I can see Pritchard like having, putting up 20 plus points.
Yeah. What's Marcus Smart's PRA? 25.5. It's only over at FanDuel at minus 125.5.
The projection on that, by the way, I'm doing some quick math in my head, is 12 plus 17, 29. Does that sound right?
For what?
For Smart, PRA?
He has, it's saying at 25.5.
Yeah. I'm saying our projection is 17 points, 4 boards, 8 assists. So
you actually can just go over to points, rebounds, assists, and look at Smart. We have him at 29.
Well, I'm on in the back channel stuff. Well, not back channel, actually. It's if you have a premium, you can see it. What are you looking at? You're on the actual scores and odds page?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, which is easier. They do the math for you.
Yep. Yep. So it's not bad, but yeah. You have anything else in the San Antonio Houston game?
No. Again, Houston, they seem to be giving more minutes. I'm so tilted about the Şengün thing we talked about this weekend because I picked the wrong game to really think it's Şengün season, and he bounced back and absolutely smashed.
Yeah, no, you talked me onto it too, you silly goose.
Yeah, and I was so thrown off by the first game that I should have you should have doubled down. Even Martin yelled at because they gave Wood they stole minutes away from these guys again because they're giving more of a look to Şengün. I don't know if that's going to continue. I don't know if that was because they were trying to do their best to keep Portland around. But, we've seen Wood's minutes get pushed down and we've seen Şengün's minutes pop up and some of the other starters too. But again, part of that is blowout related. But I think Şengün's interesting, but probably not.
Yeah, no lines out on him right now. But FYI, Clay, Porter, Gary Payton. Gary Payton's questionable, but Clay, Draymond, and Porter all officially out. I think we all had a feeling, which brings us into our next game. Golden State going up against Memphis. Memphis is a pretty decent favorite. I don't care. Bane is my bets in this game. I got Bane over 28.5 points, rebounds, assists. I got Bane over 20.5 points. I have Bane over 3.5 assists at plus 116. Bane beginning pretty consistently 5 assists a game. He's been getting over 20 points with regularity. I'm still pissed about going up against Milwaukee. They blew him out. Bane ended up with 20 points, not playing the last 7 minutes. And I'm still pissed with that. But looking at his usage, been sitting at 30 over the last 3 games. Just doing everything, and his assist numbers have been fantastic. He's been getting boards. As Dean always says, he's a real threat at a triple-double every single night. But yeah, Bane 20, 30, 23, 24 are his points totals over the last 4. Just doing everything without John there. I wonder what his 3-point line is at. I might end up hitting that too because I have a Bane addiction. Which no problem with that. You got any problem? Yeah, heavy juice on the over 2.5. You got any bets in this game? Do you agree with those?
Last 15 games, Memphis best defensive team in all of basketball. Just wanted to note that. I think that Jordan Poole can be in. So is Golden State, they're on the back-to-back, right? Is Golden State going to let Poole just go and run the show? They're not going to catch Memphis. Memphis right now, and that's the other part of it, is that in theory, this would matter more, but they're 4 games behind Memphis with 7 to go. They have to know, especially without Steph Curry, they're not getting the 2 spot, right? It's not happening. In theory, you can gain a game, but that's not enough.
I'm actually going to hit you're making good. I'm thinking about hitting the under on Jordan Poole, 25.5 points.
Maybe Golden State just says here, just take the game, because that's kind of what they're doing, right? Sort of. If you told me Poole's playing 35 minutes, then I'm playing Poole, right? But Memphis, great defensively. This seems like a spot where they can pump the brakes a little bit. They're going to need – Poole's a guy that's useful in the playoffs. He's going to get all the usage in the world when he's out there, but I think his minutes might take a slight hit. The other part is, for Memphis, right, Triple J is questionable and Clark is questionable, but Memphis is 9 games behind Phoenix, which is insane. I can't get over that every time I see it. And Golden State's 4 games behind them. This seems and it doesn't, the injury to the Triple J I don't think is very severe, but it seems like a good spot where you can just give him a day. You can give Clark a day. I guess my question is do you think those guys play? Because
I just on Jordan Poole points over on FanDuel.
You bet under?
Yeah, I went under. Memphis, best defensive team in the league right now. Maybe Boston, but yeah, it's probably Memphis without Ja in there playing. Don't see this game staying close. Currently sitting at a 10.5 point spread. Jordan Poole, 25.5 points is a little bit too high. Second in a back-to-back, right? He did play last night. That was last night, correct?
Golden State?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He had the over on his points prop yesterday. I know because I bet it. Yeah, I think that number is a little bit too high, but Bane is going off. And also, Tyus Jones, under 1.5 turnovers, sitting at minus 150, not nearly high enough. Tyus Jones does not turn over the ball. I think the last 3 years, Tyus Jones has had the highest assist to turnover ratio in the league.
Interesting.
He had 2 turnovers versus Brooklyn. Outside of that, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 2. We have to go back to the 15th of February to find the last time he had 2 turnovers. So that's my favorite bet on the board is Tyus Jones under 1.5 turnovers.
Per 36 minutes this season, Tyus Jones is 1.1 turnover. That's awesome. I think that's really good for a guy that handles the ball a good bit. Like a lot of times he's not the dominant ball handler always, depending on who's in the court with. Like right now he is, obviously, or one of them. But that's yeah. I used to think Jalen Brunson was like the best backup point guard in the league with Tyus Jones. I don't know if Brunson's considered a backup point guard anymore. But like, is it Tyus Jones? Is he the best backup point in the league?
Yes. So we look at this year, leader in assist to turnover ratio is Tyus Jones. We look at last year, and it was Tyus Jones. Look at the year before, it was Tyus Jones. Year before that, it was Tyus Jones. Year before that, it was Darren Collison. Tyus Jones is number 3.
Darren Collison, I feel like he's been retired for like 4 years.
Yes.
For the Pacers?
Yep.
No, man. How come he didn't come back during all the COVID stuff?
I think it was a guy that was like mostly reliant on his speed, and he just slowed down a little bit with age.
Maybe he's playing somewhere in Europe. I have no idea.
Let's see.
I'm looking right now. Who else would be the argument for the best backup point if it's not Tyus Jones? I'm just kind of thinking, a quick glance. Maybe we're missing somebody. Oh, Campaign? Well, maybe. I don't know.
Campaign, Dennis Schroeder, Derek White.
I think White's pretty good.
Technically, Tyler Hero.
Is White a point?
Yeah,
like,
that's the thing.
Yeah.
Like, if we're talking about true point guards, it's definitely Tyus Jones. No, Darren Collison currently plays on the Lakers.
What? Well, he hasn't played for them, has he?
He has played 37 minutes.
Okay.
Did not play in
year?
19 to 20 or 20 to 21.
Did they recently sign him somewhere? Okay, okay, you say he was out of the league, is that what you said?
Yeah, for 2 years.
Yeah, okay. And he's only 34 still. But man, the Lakers season. By the way, 5:38. I know we run long and I yap, and feel free to cut me off whenever. I apologize, but I find this interesting. The Lakers, they lost again. They lost an important game to New Orleans last night as far as playoff seeding. LeBron has an ankle now, and it looked legit. If you saw it, like it looked like a real deal. And he said it hurts pretty good. He said he didn't know how he finished the game. You see what their percentage chance is right now, according to 538, which, whatever, math, do your best. There's only so much you can quantify. Percentage chance the Lakers are making the playoffs, according to 538. What would your guess be?
6%.
4%. It's insane. I know a lot of things have gone weird, but it's what a wild season.
Yeah, I'm probably going to hit the Joker over 27.5 points. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I'm good with that. I have no problem with that. You like that more than the PRA?
Yeah. I haven't looked at the PRA, but it's generally like at 42. He's been scoring a lot more recently, and he's been I think he was 13 for 15 the other night from the field. Just absolutely incredible. I am pissed. I did put
he used to bang bodies with Plumlee back in practice a couple of years, right? The Plum Dog. It's gonna abuse him.
Dog millionaire.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Yeah, I mean, what was like he it's scaring me because I have a ton of money on Joker to win MVP, but Embiid's odds keep getting higher and higher. I just put 2K on Embiid to win, just to hedge out a little bit. But
give or take, what would you win? Do you know what you would win more or less, or you don't know off the top of your head?
With Joker, like 50K.
Oh, you got to hedge some.
Yeah.
Have you considered hedging with Booker, who's making a league push?
No.
I don't respect to Phoenix. Again, they could literally just chill for the next 2 weeks. Who cares what they're doing? But they're still trying. Chris Paul is still crushing. Booker put up 40, 50 or so against Denver in a game that didn't matter. And like that's the other thing. I feel like at some point they're going to cruise in. I would imagine.
So here's my thing with Booker. Let's look at the odds here. I got both of them pulled up right now.
I'm not saying he's MVP for the record. I'm just, I'm like, who cares what I think or what you think? It's what the voters think, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, the voters are going to look at things. Who's averaging more points? Booker by 0.2.
Okay.
Literally 0.2. Who's averaging more rebounds? It's Joker by about 10. Who's averaging more assists? It's Joker by 4. Who's averaging more steals? It's Joker. Who's averaging more blocks? It's Joker. Who is more important to the team? It's Joker. Who has a higher effective field goal percentage? It's Joker by 80 points. Everything is Joker.
Field goal percentage, though, like again, I'm not saying that stuff doesn't matter. Obviously, it matters a ton, and that's better than like the actual point thing. But
assist to turnover ratio, Joker actually hasn't beat.
Yeah. But there's the other thing is, and you never really know how to quantify it, but the number one team in the league by a huge margin, they clinched like 8 games before the season's over, whatever, 9 game, 10, whatever it is. Like that has value in voters' eyes.
Yes, but I mean, the real value, I believe, is in most valuable, which is why LeBron didn't win it every single year he was in Miami. Like, he should have won it every single year he was in Miami. I know he won it twice.
Yeah, well, yeah, because Miami still would have been good in the absence of him because they had Bosh and Wade. Is that the thought process?
Yeah, and I mean, it's the reason why Ja is not in this, because the Memphis Grizzlies are the best team in the league without Ja Morant.
It's so like I mean, I don't want to say they're better. I'm not going to say that, but I think some numbers suggest they might be sometimes.
No, they have the highest win rate of any team ever if you just go off of games played without Ja Morant.
Yeah. But of course, they want to have Ja Morant on their team.
Yes, and they played some bad teams, but they also have the most depth. Like, they are just incredible. Really, they're one where I have. If it's Cleveland versus Memphis in the finals, then I'm guaranteed 6 figures.
Well, it's not. I mean, it's not going to be Cleveland.
Yeah, Memphis could legitimately make it.
Memphis has a shot, and I don't know if you saw me on Twitter. I don't want to go on off the rails. We were talking about this already on Twitter, and I was getting in a conversation with some people, and like. They said, like, well, the NBA season, it's always the same thing. You know exactly who's going to be in the finals. And I'm like, dude, that's said by somebody that's not watched a minute this year, because there's going to be, after the not playing nonsense, there's going to be 16 teams. And you can make a legitimate argument, like not like a completely absurd argument, that 7 could win it, right? Like 7.
You can make a legit argument that in the East, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at least 5, maybe 6, maybe 7.
Yeah, I mean, again, you can make arguments. I don't know how legitimate they get in a
Celtics,
point.
Heat, Bucks, 76ers. Easy argument.
And those 4, yes, I'm in.
So 5, absolutely any of them can win. In the West, the Warriors, the Grizzlies, the Suns. I think those, like, potentially the Jazz.
That's the 7. Like, yeah, I think those are the 7 I was thinking about. Like, Boston, Miami, Milwaukee, Philly, Phoenix, Memphis, Golden State, and like.
Add the Nets.
Oh yeah. There you go. Yeah. You're right. So half at worst, you can make a legitimate argument that half the playoff teams, officially playoff teams 1 through 8, have a chance. Like this, it's more wide open now than ever. And like I mean, you're telling me that of course, there's some teams that have a better chance than others. Like, well, let me take the top 5. Well, yeah, okay, sure, you'll probably get it. Good for you. But there's more suspense now than there's been in a long time, is the point I was trying to make. And it sounds like you agree.
Yeah, no, I signed up for MGM down here in Arizona, and they have the risk-free bet on your first one up to $1,000. I have so many futures out right now that I've just been throwing free bets on. I finally put some money on Brooklyn to win it, just to hedge out my bets a little bit. But I have if Boston wins, I get like 10 grand. If Grizzlies win, I get like 50 grand. If Cavs win, I get 100 grand. If the Suns win, I get like 5 grand. If Warriors win, I get like 10 grand. Like,
what's the Brooklyn line?
Plus 550.
What does it say again?
Plus 550.
Yeah, that's not bad. Are the Lakers still like 4-1 or something ridiculous in the West? Because I don't think so. Has that number finally changed?
No, we can check out the scores and odds thing. Let's see. Great tool over here on scores and odds. Futures. The Lakers are now you can get them at 180 to 1 over at FanDuel.
Oh my god! But also, by the way, maybe if you reward Phoenix, and this seems like a spot that might. This is kind of an interesting one. I'm not sure. We've talked about this. I'm not sure on air or off air, but we broke down like defensive player of the year a couple times. Robert Williams was really interesting at one point, like Boston, the way they've been playing the last 10, 15 games, whatever it is. But now he's going to be out probably the rest of the regular season. So he's probably thrown aside. Gobert, like Utah's defense is kind of fraudulent. Bam Adebayo and the Heat are falling apart. You know, Bam is the favorite. Marcus Smart plus 275. But what if you reward Phoenix with a Mikal Bridges defensive player of the year?
He may be. Like, I don't mind that.
Could
I
be
can't
an
remember.
interesting one.
I don't remember who I threw. I threw money on a lot. I think I have money on Mobley, which doesn't look like it anymore.
Yeah,
I think I threw some
year,
money on Bridges. Like, yeah, it's defensive player of the year is super interesting.
Bridges, I think, dropped. I want to say I checked it like earlier today, and it was like 350. Now it's down to 300. Maybe somebody else says
you can get a 375 over Points Bet. Points Bet won't let me bet though, so I hate them.
If you try to submit it now, they won't let you bet it.
They'll do the spinning wheel of death for 5 minutes, and then we still have one more game to get through.
I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk.
OKC at Portland. I've got no bets. All right, we get there.
There's gonna be like 18 players in uniform, maybe 17 on both sides combined. I mean, and it's going to be a DFS nightmare. I know it's not the nature of this show, but it's going to be a nightmare for DFS. It's hard to. I wish it was off the slate. It's 2 hours after every other game. It'd be so easy just to throw out, but you know.
So I'm going to trust scores and odds projections right now. I'm going to bet on this game. I'm betting Malden over 15.5 points. Trey Mann over 18.5 points. Do you know the worst offensive team in the league? Since the All-Star break?
The worst offensive team in the league since the All-Star break. Well, it's Portland.
It is, in fact, Portland. You are correct. Do you know what the third worst is?
I'm going to guess it's OKC.
That is correct. Yeah. Do you know who the worst defensive team in the league is?
Portland.
I think it's actually OKC. Do you know what the second worst is?
Oh, no. It's Portland. I'm pulling it up now. It's Portland. OKC's third. You know who's in the middle? The Lakers.
Oh, gosh.
Portland is bad as you think. Like OKC. OKC's a favorite. They're favored like a 2-point favorite here, and they're without SGA. As bad as you think Portland or OKC and Houston are, Portland is that much worse. We saw Houston was a 3 to 4 point favorite in Portland, and also this is my DFS thing, but and this guy's not necessarily good, but he's a live body. And Trendon Watford's got a knee, he's got a leg, he's not going to play. And Greg Brown's got an eye, he's got a legit eye. Like it's not like a made up injury like the rest of the Portland injuries. A lot of them at least. They shut down they shut down some of the guys officially today, but worst kept secret. But they might be down to 8 guys if Brown can't play with his eye. And Watford's gone too. It's so bad. There's nobody on this team that Ben McLemore is like, I guess the guy that's going to be in the league in the league in a couple of years, maybe. That's about it, possibly. Yeah, Portland's just a disaster. And Man, if they let Man go again, OKC in the Tankathon, but if they let him go, he could put up 40 on this team.
Yep, I mean, it's over at 18.5 is just silly.
Yeah, we were talking all that side stuff, and I was happy to do so because I did not want to talk about OKC in Portland. It's a mess.
Yeah, it is. All right. Well, I think that about ends the show for us. Dean, any last minute thoughts before I get on out of here?
Yeah, I owe you a movie bet from whatever while back, and I think I told you this on Twitter. But I'm gonna always sign you, and you're welcome because I'm being super nice. You've not seen Parasite, I've learned. Watch Parasite, and you can't play on your phone or computer. You gotta read
dubbed?
Yeah.
Is
I don't
there
remember.
subtitles?
It's definitely subtitles. I don't know if it's dubbed. You gotta actually watch the movie unless you understand Korean. I don't think. Do you understand Korean?
I know one word because of Arrested Development. I'm young.
Well, what does that mean?
hello.
Okay.
It also means goodbye, I think.
Oh, it's versatile. Aloha.
Yeah. No, I think. Yeah.
This
Yeah.
was fun,
Korean.
though, I feel like we
Korean
learned
is what, like, out of most Asian languages, like Russian, Chinese, Japanese, Korean, Indian, or Hindi, rather. I think Korean is the one I know the least.
You know some Chinese, I assume, right? You spent some time in
Yeah.
China?
Yeah, no, I know. I studied abroad there twice. I know some Chinese.
Yeah, I got nothing. I wish I did.
Jianpiaolian.
What does that mean?
You're truly beautiful, Dean.
Oh, did that work when you were over there? You didn't when you were over there in China? Was that one of your was that one of the go-tos? As you stay in like your in-laws. No, you're not in your in-laws' house. Never mind.
No, I was not. No, my go-to was Ni Xiao Di Huaila.
Which means
Your little man is broken. We went in to get acupuncture, and my teacher was just making stuff up and pointing to my buddy. He's like, Ni Xiao Di Huaila. And he's like, I know Xiao Di means little man. What is he talking about?
and you're a big dude amongst in that country, right?
Yeah, no, people thought I was a basketball player. Which the crazy thing is we went to school and I was playing basketball against like a 6'11" guy.
Oh, the chairman? Remember the guy that the Bucks drafted? He worked out against a chair? Yee something? You know what I'm talking about? Like one of the bigger.
I don't remember that one.
It's worth going down the rabbit hole. But like his workout regime was him like posting up a chair, and somehow I think it was the Bucks that were impressed.
Well, that's impressive. All right, Dean. Well, thanks for joining me, guys. It's been fun. We'll be back on again tomorrow. Not sure if we're going to be on Thursday or Friday. We'll see. I'm in Vegas in my bachelor party, so on Friday will for sure be either hammered drunk or horribly hungover. So we'll see, but we'll be, and then next Monday there's no basketball or baseball. So last day off for a while. Baseball starting up soon, which Dean, you'll be on here for a few baseball shows. You like the bases ball?
Yeah, dude. Dude, I just drafted Rugen Odor.
Oh yeah, you ready to go?
I've been prepping more so this year than any other year. As far as I'm usually way behind because at DFS and all I care about is today and today only. But I'm further ahead now than I've ever been as far as baseball. But go ahead, you got to get out of here. We got to get out of here.
All right, guys, it's been fun. We're out of here. Thank you.